So today's topic of discussion is spirometry. Okay, today's topic of discussion, the thing that we're going to discuss today is spirometry. Now, spirometry is an important topic of the respiratory system, and spirometry basically deals with understanding the estimation, of exchange of air during ventilation. So when we ventilate, that is when we breathe in, we breathe out. We breathe in, that is inspiration, breathe out, that is expiration. The exchange of air that takes place during this process is known as spirometry. I mean, the mechanism to measure it, the method to measure it is known as spirometry. And spirometry is done with the help of this device here. You can see this device. This is the patient. This, I believe, is the doctor. And this patient is blowing into a mouthpiece, which is recording something and transmitting this information through a wire to a computer. And this computer is going to show a graph. And that graph is what we're going to study precisely. This instrument here that we are seeing is known as a spirometer. This instrument precisely is the spirometer. And the technique of measuring a graph on a spirometer and understanding its implications is known as the spirometry. So, before that, we need to know certain important concepts. Okay? Obviously, we know what ventilation means. Ventilation means the exchange of gases. Ventilation means the exchange of gases. So this ventilation could either be inspiration, or this ventilation could be what? Expiration. It could either be inspiration or it could be expiration. Now, take a moment to understand that whether it is inspiration or it is expiration, it could be one of these two things. Either it is the normal inspiration or expiration, or what we call as quiet inspiration and expiration, or it could be forceful inspiration and expiration. Either it could be normal or quiet inspiration, expiration, or it could be forceful inspiration and expiration. Just to give you an idea, as I'm speaking right now, can you hear me breathing? But I am breathing, right? But you can't hear me breathing. Just take a moment and just listen to the audio. So yeah, I'm breathing, but you cannot hear it. That is because it is normal or quiet breathing. The breathing that you do when you're relaxed, when you're not exercising, when there is no exertion, you're not anxious, is called normal and quiet breathing. The breathing that is enough to sustain your life. However, when you require more oxygen, when you have to expel more carbon dioxide, then you have to do a forceful inspiration like this, or a forceful expiration like this. Okay? So, you could have a normal or quiet inspiration expiration. It's called quiet because you cannot hear it. Or you could have forceful inspiration expiration, which you can actually hear. And important thing is, for normal essential living, for living, you don't require forceful inspiration expiration always. Under normal circumstances, you're okay with normal or quiet breathing. Clear? So if this concept is clear, we can understand this graph now. Now let's go to this graph. So we have a patient, you are a doctor, okay, and you have a patient, and that patient basically has a respiratory disease. Let us say this patient has asthma, and you want to measure how good can he do the exchange of gases. Spirometry will measure the exchange of air, and in this spirometry you have the amount of air that is expelled that is either inspired or expired per unit time. So the y-axis has air in ml and the x-axis has time. Now, this person, as you had seen here, right? This person is asked to inspire and expire in this mouthpiece. And this mouthpiece records the amount of air that is going in, coming out, and that air, that amount of air, that information is transmitted through the wires to the computer, and the computer records what is the value of that air. So that we are going to measure. Now, first we'll ask the patient to do normal inspiration and expiration. Normal means quiet, okay? Not deep and not forceful. So the person is inspiring normally. This is normal inspiration. See, normal inspiration, normal expiration. Normal inspiration, normal expiration. Normal inspiration and normal expiration. Right? So this is normal breathing. And then I ask this patient to do forceful or deep inspiration. That is this. I'm very happy with the sound effects. So, deep inspiration. When the person does deep inspiration, what will he do? First, he will do normal inspiration up to this level, and then he will take up some extra amount of air, as you can see. Right? You can see here. So, he takes in, I'm retracing this graph, he takes in the extra, I'll take another color, he takes in this extra amount of air inside and then releases or expires that extra amount of air. And then what does he start again? Normal expiration, normal inspiration, normal expiration, normal inspiration, and then normal expiration. Clear? Is this clear? So this is what? This was forceful inspiration. Now what I ask the patient to do is that after taking a normal inspiration, I ask him to take forceful expiration. Okay? So he was doing quiet breathing, which you could not hear, and then he would take a forceful expiration. So, this kind. So basically, how does he take forceful expiration? First, he does normal expiration. And then suddenly, he takes, let's take this color, he does forceful expiration. And then he inspires that air that he has expelled forcefully. And then what starts again? Yes, normal inspiration, normal expiration, normal inspiration, and normal expiration. Do we understand this graph? Do we understand this graph? So, the ones that I've drawn in green, okay, I've color coded them. The ones I've drawn in green, that is the tidal or the normal or the quiet breathing. Tidal, normal or quiet breathing. Why do I call it normal? Let us understand each of these words. Why do I call this normal? Because under normal circumstances, when you're not running, when you're not excited, when you don't want excess oxygen, you don't want to give off excessive carbon dioxide, under normal circumstances, you only have to do this breathing that is shown in green. So that's called normal breathing. Normal inspiration and normal expiration. Why is it called quiet? Because it's quiet. Simple. And why is it called tidal? Because as you can see, can you see tides there? Yes, you can see the tides. You can see the graph. The graph is in the form of tides. So it's a tidal breathing, right? Then the one that I've drawn in blue, what is that? That is deep inspiration. Deep inspiration. And what about the violet color? What is that? Very good. I hope you're answering on your end. I hope you're answering on your end. Deep expiration. Right? So we have understood that there is something known as tidal, normal, or quiet breathing. There is something known as deep inspiration, and there is something known as deep expiration. Now, just to make this graph even more clearer, see this diagram. Okay? What does this represent? This box. The length of this box. The length of this box. Okay? What does that represent? The length of this box. Yes, it represents tidal volume. Very good. It represents tidal volume. If I extend this box upwards, like this, right? Then, and I color this blue. Can you see this? Yeah. Then what is this air? This volume is that volume which was taken over and above the tidal inspiration. Can you see here? Just follow this again. Follow this here. See, normal inspiration, normal expiration. Tidal inspiration, tidal expiration. Quiet inspiration, quiet expiration. And then after normal inspiration, there was this extra amount of air taken in during deep inspiration, which was given out like this. समझ में आ रही है बात? So this extra amount of air is known as the inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory reserve volume. And what about this air then? This air which you are giving out. This air which you are giving out after your normal tidal expiration. Can you see here? See this. You have tidal inspiration, tidal expiration. Tidal inspiration, tidal or normal expiration. And then you're giving out extra amount of air, that is expiring extra air, because you're doing deep expiration. Okay? And then inspiring that extra air. So that air that you've expired out, जो आपको violet में दिख रहा है, right? What is that? That is expiratory reserve volume. Expiratory reserve volume. Right? So this is expiratory reserve volume. Okay? See, the green one is TV, tidal volume. The blue is IRV, inspiratory reserve volume. The violet is ERV, expiratory reserve volume. Okay? Now just consider this fact. You have lungs. Obviously you have lungs. This is that lung. Okay? This is the bronchi. And ye hai wo lung. Okay? Now, consider you do deep inspiration. This is the lung. When you're not inspiring or expiring. It's a stable lung. Okay? Stationary lung. You do deep inspiration. जब deep inspiration करोगे तो the air will get filled inside the lung and the lung will expand. So it will expand like this, maybe it will become like this. I'm just taking a hypothetical situation, okay? इतना बड़ा नहीं होता lung, but obviously expand होगा. Like this it will expand. Okay? Now I ask you to do deep expiration. Deep expiration. What do you think will happen to the lung? After deep expiration, will the lung like collapse like this? Have you seen a balloon? Okay. A balloon, when it is deflated, it is like this. When I inflate this balloon, it becomes like this. And when I deflate the balloon again, it returns to its normal original shape like this. That is what happens. If I take this to be the lung, then lung on full inspiration is somewhat like this, big. And what do you think? At expiration, does it become like this, crippled and small, completely deflated? No. It retains a shape. It retains a shape. It becomes smaller than the fully inspired lung, but it retains a shape. That means even when all of the air that you could possibly have expelled, you have expelled. That is, once you have done deep expiration, yet there would be some air that you can see here. You can see here, there would be some air that is still left in the lung. That is not expired at all. Because had all the air have been expired, and see here, had all the air been expired and the air inside the lung would have become zero, then the lung would have completely collapsed like a balloon. When the balloon is completely deflated, it becomes completely collapsed. That is not the situation. That is not what happens. When the lung is has fully expired the air, that is, there is deep expiration, that means the expiratory reserve volume has been taken up. Yet, there would be some amount of air that is left in the lung. And this air is known as reserve volume. Reserve volume. Right? Reserve volume. Getting my point? So that is that air which remains in the lung even after the lung has expired all of the air that it could have. That means deep expiration. So we have talked about 4 volumes. The first volume is the tidal volume. The first volume is the tidal volume. What is tidal volume? Tidal volume is the amount of air that is inspired or expired during normal or quiet breathing. And this turns out to be 500 ml. Then you have something known as inspiratory reserve volume. Try to understand these words. Inspiratory means it's happening during inspiration. Volume means it's a volume of air. And what is the meaning of reserve? It is that air which you take extra, excess. So above tidal inspiration, see here, above tidal inspiration, ये tidal expiration हुआ, tidal inspiration किया, above tidal inspiration, the extra amount of air that you inspire, see this. This is what? This is inspiratory reserve volume. And how much is the inspiratory reserve volume? Inspiratory reserve volume turns out to be approximately 2500 to 3000 ml. All of these are NCERT figures. Okay, all of these values are values of NCERT textbook. Then you have expiratory reserve volume. What is expiratory reserve volume? यहाँ पे देखो. So you have normal inspiration, normal expiration, normal inspiration, normal expiration. Then the amount of the volume that you expire after doing normal expiration. After doing normal expiration, the amount of volume you expire, that is known as expiratory reserve volume. And this turns out to be 1000 to 1100 ml. And lastly, you have reserve volume. What is the reserve volume? Reserve volume is that volume which remains in the lung even after forceful expiration. And how much is this? It is 1100 ml to 1200 ml. Getting my point? Okay? Understood? So these are the 4 volumes of the lung. Your lung has 4 volumes. Okay. So now we are going to go to the next topic here is the 5 capacities. You have 4 volumes in your 5 capacities. So before going to the 5 capacities, take a moment and try to understand these 4 volumes. Then we'll go to the 5 capacities. Okay. So these were the 4 volumes. Fine. So now we go to the next part, which is the capacities. So before going to capacities, just revise first. We'll draw it fast. So you have this, then you have this, then you have this, and lastly you have this. What are these things? First thing, this is the tidal volume. This is the inspiratory reserve volume, the volume which is inspired over and above normal inspiration. This is the expiratory reserve volume, the amount of volume expired after normal expiration. And this is the reserve volume, the amount of volume which is never expired, always remains in the lung. Fine. Now, on the basis of this, you have 5 capacities. The first capacity is very simple. If I ask you, what is the total capacity of the lung? What is the amount of air that can be totally kept in the lung? What would that be? Does the lung contain reserve volume? Yes, it does. Does the lung contain expiratory reserve volume? Yes, it does. What about tidal volume? That also. What about expiratory reserve volume? Of course. So, your lung basically contains inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, and residual volume. IRV plus TV plus ERV plus RV, all of these volumes combined will give you TLC. What is TLC? TLC is total lung capacity. Total lung capacity. Pardon my handwriting, but that's how it is. Okay? Total lung capacity. Now, let me ask you another question. What is the amount of air that you can inspire in totality? Okay? Amount of air that you can inspire in totality. So, can you inspire tidal volume? Yes. And above tidal volume, can you inspire inspiratory reserve volume? Yes. So, the total amount of volume you inspire during deep inspiration is what? It is your inspiratory reserve volume plus your tidal volume. And this is known as inspiratory capacity. What is inspiratory capacity? Inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume. That is what this is, inspiratory capacity. Inspiratory capacity. Then, what if I ask you, what is the amount of air that you can expire after normal inspiration? The amount of air that you can totally expire after normal inspiration. What would that be? It will be this value, TV plus ERV. The amount of air that you can expire after normal inspiration. So that is known as EC. EC is nothing but expiratory capacity. Expiratory capacity. And expiratory capacity is ERV plus TV. ERV plus TV. That is expiratory capacity. Okay. Then, if I ask you that what is the amount of volume that can be inspired and expired in totality, right? What is the total amount of volume you can inspire? Or what is the total amount of volume you can expire? What is the answer to that? The answer to that is that you have IRV plus TV प्लस ERV। इतना अमाउंट ऑफ वॉल्यूम आप टोटल इंस्पायर एक्सपायर कर सकते हो, एंड दिस वॉल्यूम इज नोन एज वाइटल कैपेसिटी। Vital capacity. Okay, vital capacity. So you have how many capacities are done? One is total lung capacity. That means the amount of volume that is completely the capacity of the lung. Capacity of lung is total lung capacity. Then you have inspiratory capacity, which is the capacity that can be inspired after normal expiration. That is IRV plus TV. Then you have expiratory capacity, the amount of volume that can be expired after normal inspiration. And then you have vital capacity. That is the amount of volume in totality which can be inspired or which can be expired. The maximum volume of air a person can breathe in or breathe out. Right? So that is vital capacity. The last capacity, the fifth capacity, is, I'll first write the word and then you can understand what it means. Okay? It is functional residual capacity. Functional residual capacity. What does functional residual capacity mean? Functional residual capacity means, we can see capacity means capacity. Capacity means volume. The amount of volume that we contained is capacity. Residual means जो बच गया है, जो reserve है, जो रह गया है. And functional means normal functioning. During normal functioning, the amount of volume that remains in the lung as a residue is known as functional residual capacity. Now remember, कितना air चाहिए अपने को normal breathing के लिए? Tidal volume 500 ml. If I am doing 500 ml inspiration and 500 ml expiration, then the end of this 500 ml inspiration and expiration, आपके पास कितना volume बचता है lung के अंदर? Tell me. It is ERV plus RV. It is ERV plus RV. So that is functional residual capacity. ERV, ये देखो ERV and RV. Understand this again. ERV plus RV. That is the functional residual capacity. Getting my point? So you have 5 capacities. Okay. So now ideally after learning this, what you should do is go to your textbook as soon as possible. Go to that page where you have all these volumes and capacities and try and read it once. Once you read it, you have learnt it here. As soon as you go there, you read it and you solve some MCQs on it, this concept will stick to your mind. Okay? This entire concept is an extremely important concept. Okay? हमने जो भी पढ़ा है यहाँ पे, ये जो पूरा जो चीज़ है, this is extremely important from NEET point of view. This is extremely important question that is a recurring question, comes again and again. So I want you to focus on this question. I want you to analyze this question.